Hello. Sorry, I am a little late. Technical difficulties with my computer, but we're here. Um, so I thought this would be a good topic to talk about. Number one, we just went on a very short trip with my kids, which was an adventure. I'm sure, as you guys have experienced. My youngest is about a year and a half, and doing anything with a 1.5-year-old is a challenge. He is in a fun stage. So it was really good. It was a nice couple day trip, but it got me thinking about people generally going on vacation in the summertime and how to kind of manage that with your overall goals. So a couple things before getting to, I have 3 tips to kind of help you with that. But before we even get there, sort of some things to preface that conversation with. So number one, this is vacation. You know, the whole idea is that you're on vacation. So you kind of have to reframe your mindset about this anyway. It's just probably unrealistic that you're going to lose weight, you know, while you're on vacation, and that's totally okay. The mindset around a vacation or something like that is going to be different than your everyday. So number one, really the idea is more so to just remain somewhat flat, and it's more a really good opportunity to practice some important skills. So it kind of brings me to my second point of this. An issue that I think a lot of women have, and that in my coaching we talk about a lot and we work through a lot because people struggle with this, is sort of an all or nothing kind of mindset when it comes to the way you eat. And so a lot of times people will say, you know, I'm going to eat clean and then I'm gonna go to vacation and just like throw that all out the window. And the same that mindset sometimes shifts into other things. So you'll start, you know, with a good week, and then on the weekends you really splurge or something like that. And so this is a good opportunity to practice a different mindset shift instead of this all or nothing, you know, clean and then splurge, restrict, and then binge, in trying to get away from that mindset and getting more moderation into your life. And vacation is a good time to try and practice that. So instead of going into your week of vacation and treating the whole week like some free for all, you can be more mindful while still enjoying yourself. And I think that's a good place to try and sort of work on that mindset, because women especially really, I think, struggle with that idea that it has to be kind of one or the other. And the whole point is you have to improve your relationship with food so that you are able to enjoy the things that you like in a more controlled way. So that's kind of what I want to preface these tips with, is that you're on vacation, so it's okay to kind of loosen those things. You're not going to be, you know, striving for weight loss while you're away, but also it's a really good opportunity to try and practice a little bit more of some mindful techniques, so that you can enjoy yourself in kind of a mindful way. We'll use the word mindful. So, the first tip in general, and I think this is a good way to approach if you're on vacation and you're going to be somewhere, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to try and eat as much as you can where you're staying. So, everybody loves to go out to eat, but there's a lot of problems with going out to eat a lot, because you don't have a whole lot of control over how the restaurants make food and what exactly you're going, like where you're going, all of those things. So if you're eating out like for every single meal the whole time you're on vacation, it's going to be really difficult to not really like be overindulgent. So if you can try and plan more things where you're staying, that's really going to be helpful. And if you're, you know, with a large group of people and you have like a lot of food in the house or whatever, trying to stick with initially, you know, when you sit down to go eat a meal, trying to stick with a protein and a produce. If you can kind of start with that, eat that, see how you feel. If there's a lot more that's in the house or around or whatever, you want to try something else, you can go ahead and then get yourself a small serving of whatever it is that you want to try as well. But if you can kind of start with protein and produce for most of your meals to at least get yourself something good and fill yourself, then it's going to be a little bit more helpful, and it's going to help you not overindulge as much when you go to try something else that you want to try. So the first tip is really trying to limit how often you're going out, and trying to stick to a protein and a produce at least when you first sit down to eat for most of your meals. If you can do that, then you will have at least, you'll be more full, you're not going to be starving, you're hopefully not going to be snacking all day long, and that'll hopefully help you to at least make some better decisions as the day goes on. The second tip that's in relation to going out to eat. So obviously if you're going to be on vacation, you're going to go out to eat, and that's also okay. I think it would be helpful for you to take a look at menus before you go out to eat. And again, trying to stick to the same principle of picking foods that are going to be, a protein and a produce of some sort. And then again, if you want something different, think through that. So think of what's going to be worth it for you. If you're a sweets person and you're really going to want that dessert at the end, then try and make a more mindful choice for your main entree. If you really want a side of fries, then maybe you skip the dessert that meal or something like that, or you choose another side of vegetables and a side salad or something. Just trying to be a little bit more mindful of what you choose to be that indulgent thing that you want, which is totally fine, but you have to try and be a little bit more strategic about that, because if you're going out to eat every meal and you're choosing all of those things every single time, it's just going to be more difficult for you to stay on track. So trying to limit how often you're going out to eat, trying to eat protein and produce with most of your meals. If you're going to go out to eat, trying to take a look at the menu beforehand and seeing what's really something you're going to want, and having that mental plan so that you make other choices that are going to align with that. I think those are all very helpful things to keep in mind. The other thing that's, I think, a tough one is considering your alcohol consumption. So people go on vacation and they tend to have a pretty significantly increased alcohol consumption. And alcohol is a super easy way to drink a lot of calories very easily, and then also probably not make the best choices with what you're eating. So again, this comes back to some planning. It's not that you can't. I'm never going to advocate for restriction on any of these things, but doing these things mindfully is important. So choosing ahead of time maybe some lower calorie options, and choosing to limit yourself. I mean, it's coming from a healthcare professional, I'm never going to tell you to go out and drink a ton. So limiting yourself, I think, in that is pretty important. But especially in this setting, if you're doing, if you're having drinks every single night and they're super high calorie drinks, that is going to add up quickly. So trying to limit, or at least be mindful of what you're drinking, and kind of being more strategic about it, about when you're going to choose to do that, is important. So to kind of summarize these things, this is vacation, so again, we're not going into the week or going into the vacation with the idea that you're going to, lose a bunch of weight while you're there. It's probably not realistic, and that's okay. The whole point of vacation is to not worry about these things. But if you can choose to eat where you're staying as often as possible, choosing a protein and a produce with most of your meals, at least to start with, trying to plan before you're going to go out to eat, look at the choices and see what's going to align best with what you really want to eat, and limiting your alcohol consumption is going to help you at least have a relatively neutral week, hopefully enjoy yourself, and not have to worry about it too much. I think it's important to talk about this again in relation to what I was talking about in the beginning, as far as how you view food and how you have a relationship with your food. I think vacation, and the way that you approach vacation is often the mentality that can be applied to a lot of things. So things like holidays, or things like weekends, or a lot of times when you want to allow yourself to really diverge with what you're trying to do. And I think it's just, again, reinforcing the same not great mindset that you have to restrict at one point and then you get to, really loosen that at a different point. I think it's really important to work on trying to get these things in some kind of moderation. So, incorporating things you love all of the time in more portion control ways is really important, so that when you get in front of the thing that you feel like you're going to binge on, maybe you have a little bit better control over that. And so that's something that we talk about a lot in my coaching. It's something that we work on continuously throughout the time working together, because this is a mindset thing that doesn't go away if you choose a different diet or try to follow something else temporarily. If you aren't working on that kind of mindset, and aligning those goals and having practical tips to improve that, then that's going to become a kind of a stumbling block in the future. So hopefully these tips are helpful for you. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and obviously reach out if you're interested in talking more about coaching one-on-one with me. But thanks for watching.